Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of my Wise Leader Interviews. And today I am joined by Dr. Bobbie Stevens, who is coming to us from Florida. And Dr. Bobbie Stevens is the founder of an organization called Unlimited Futures, based on her own discovery about how to create the life that you want. And I'm delighted to have Bobbie here with us today. Bobbie is a dear friend and mentor of mine and my husband's, and I credit her with my husband and I finding each other, and her husband, Dr. Dean Portinga, were some of the few guests at our beautiful wedding, which was held where they live on the beautiful Gulf in Florida. So welcome, Bobbie. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Donna. It's great to be with you.
Yeah,
We
so
had a beautiful wedding down here.
yes, we did. Yes, we
Yes,
did.
yeah,
Totally perfect, totally picturesque, and
yes, yes. We live under the Gulf of Mexico and we have beautiful sunsets. And Donna and Matt got married right on the right off our grand salon. And it was just beautiful by the stairs and at sunset. It was a lovely wedding.
couldn't have been more perfect, for sure, for
Right.
sure. And
Yeah.
so nice that we can be together across so many miles right now and during a pandemic. So I'm
Yes.
grateful for the technology that brings us together.
Zoom is wonderful, and I don't know what we would do without it these days. Seeing we have to stay in, at least we can connect with each other. Yeah, it's great.
Yes. Yeah. Bobbie, I would love for you to share with the audience about your personal journey, which really did lead you to become the wise leader that you are today. But you were on a personal journey that led you to some discoveries that at the time were pretty radical.
Yes, oh yes, it was pretty radical at the time. At the time I discovered these things, it was like I didn't dare talk about it because I was afraid they would think I was insane. No, no, lots of people are talking about these kinds of things, and it's just it's so important. I was just thinking, there are lots of leaders, but there's not a lot of wise leaders, and the wisdom comes from within. And I made a discovery a number of years ago that totally changed my life, and was a basis for my company, Unlimited Futures, which Donna and Matt went through.
Yes. Yes.
So you want me to tell you all about that?
I do, because our audience hasn't heard it, and it's such an amazing story. I would love for them to hear what started this journey and how you got to Unlimited Futures.
Okay. Okay, great. It was just to give you a little background. When I was in college studying business management, I found the works of Abraham Maslow, and I decided to expand my studies to psychology. And then Maslow realized that he knew some people that functioned from a totally different level than everybody else he knew. He studied these people, and he found out that he said that they had the ability to fulfill all their needs and desires right within themselves. I thought, that's pretty neat. If some people can function that way, it has to be a human potential. So we have to all be able to function that way. But when I got out of college, I wanted to travel. So a good way to travel is to work for an airline. So I went to work for Northwestern Airlines as a flight attendant, which is now Delta, and got to travel pretty much all over the world, and I was enjoying myself. But in the back of my mind, something kept saying there was something else I should be doing. So I I kept asking. I didn't get any answers, and one day I I found an article in a magazine about some breathing exercises, with it helping quit smoking. And I had started smoking once I got in the airline. That was back in the day when it was the in thing to do. So
Could you
all the
actually
cool people.
smoke on the plane then?
Yeah, we even sell put cigarettes on the trays.
Oh boy. Oh my
Yeah, yeah, that back in the day.
God.
But, so I found the author of that article, and she was a yoga teacher. So she taught me the breathing exercises, and she taught me some stretching exercises. And I went to class once a week, but I wanted to do them more than just once a week. So I started looking for books, and I found a book on focusing techniques, on meditation, on the postures and the breathing exercises. And I put together a routine of things that I started doing on a daily basis, and my whole life changed. It was just amazing. I I had quit smoking many times. I hated the fact that I was addicted to those cigarettes, so I quit on a regular basis. so but anyway, I quit smoking. Haven't had the slightest desire for a cigarette since, but a lot of other things started happening. I started feeling younger and more confident. My energy started increasing, and I just first I thought it was just because I quit smoking, but then I started noticing that I knew things that I had no way of knowing. So that was pretty exciting. And so I just started experimenting with it. And I thought maybe I can just ask questions and get answers. So I started doing that. I got answers and they were right on. So then I started asking bigger questions, like questions that, as far as I knew, had no known answers. So I worked with it. I did this routine. I started feeling this wonderful. So I worked with it every day. And once a month, I would do a day of silence and wouldn't talk to anybody, wouldn't answer the phone, just was silence. And I did the program several times. And so I would do the what we now call energizers. That was the yoga postures and the breathing exercises and then the meditation. And so after my meditation one day, I thought, I'll just, I was just experimenting. I had no idea what I was doing. I said, at that time in my life, I was questioning everything. And so I said, Dear God, if there is a God, I would really like to know what life's really all about, why I'm here, what I should be doing, how it all works. And I got an answer.
Wow.
I get a really clear answer. And I could just clearly see it just unfolded. I could see that everything in existence is pure love, and that love is expressing through energy, and that there's a field of intelligence that's moving and forming the energy. So giving this understanding, I could also see that there were laws of nature, principles of life that guide that govern how we actually ourselves are creating our own experiences. Most people have no idea how powerful our thoughts are, but we're creating our own experiences, and all of us together are creating world experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I mean, I could see that there was a process that you could use for creating anything, and that's what I call the 7 steps of the creative process. So I started experimenting with that, and I decided, what do I want? The first question is, what do you want? And you just get clear about what you want. Then you need to visualize that, and then you have to accept it. It's a process, a 7-step process. But I knew that I just knew, with given this understanding, I could create anything. And that was pretty exciting. So I thought, I'll just see what I can create. And so I decided what I wanted was a townhouse. or my own place to live. I was a flight attendant at the time, and I, was traveling. I didn't want a house, but I wanted my own place. So I started working with the 7-step process and created a townhouse. And it was just what came to me. This is kind of a fun story. I don't want to take over the whole thing. You give you a minute to talk. Get me started,
I love it. I love it.
Anyway, I I found an article, and I was looking at Sunday paper, and first of all, I asked what I should do, and what I got was I should get a real estate license. Well, I argued with that a little bit. What I need with a real estate license. There weren't any townhouses where I lived, and that was what I really wanted, because I'd seen townhouses in other parts of the country. So, but anyway, I got a real estate license. And then one day I was saw the Sunday paper, and it was looking for real estate agents. And it said, come in and take tests to see if you'll be good in real estate. And so I thought, well, that sounds like fun. I'll do that. So I went in, took tests for about 3 hours, and they decided to hire me. And about 3 weeks later, my boss called me in the office, and he said, your tests are back. And I said, oh, good. Am I going to be successful in real estate? And he said, well, you probably will be. But he said, you're being totally unrealistic. I knew what the problem was, and on one of the questions on the test was, how much money do you expect to make your first year in real estate? Well, I had decided that I would create a townhouse for myself. I would also create another townhouse that I could rent out for income. I would get all new furniture and decorate my new townhouse, and I'd get a new car. Kind of a
Wow.
big plan.
Big plan. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, I knew there's no way I could possibly do that if I had to do things the way I'd always done things before.
Mhm.
And so I had, a very small savings, but, and I had an income. But I knew that, something would certainly have to happen, but I knew it was going to. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew it would happen within a year. And
Wow.
so,
That's
yeah,
fast.
I
That's
mean,
fast. And you
yeah,
just knew. You just
yeah.
knew inside you. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So normally I wouldn't think I could do this, but it just came to me that it's going to happen. It's going to happen within a year. And so I, of course, had written that down on my test as how much money it's going to take to build those townhouses and my new furniture. And oh, I wanted a grand piano too. So
Oh,
I went out. I know part of it's visualization. So I went out first of all, I visited townhouses in other parts of the country. So I knew what I wanted my townhouse to look like. And
Mhm.
then I had created it in my mind's eye. I also bought furniture in my mind. I went out to the furniture stores, picked up the things that I wanted, went through this whole process, because that's part of the 7 steps of the process. And so anyway, I knew it was going to happen. And so I just put that down. And my boss said, do you have any idea how many houses you would have to sell to make that much money? I said, no. Good, I didn't, because I could intellectually figure out I couldn't possibly do that. But I knew I could. I mean, it was just amazing. And this was so totally different for me. I had no background whatsoever to understand what was happening.
Uh-huh.
But,
Yeah. But no
but
background to tell you it couldn't happen either, right? That intellectual part getting in the way, saying that's not possible.
exactly. I mean, I knew that I had to change, and I knew just through that process that I had beliefs that I had to change. And so one of the beliefs that I was single at the time, and that I and all my girlfriends would say things like, "Oh, there's no good men out there," and so basically meaning that we weren't going to meet anybody, and of course we didn't. so so anyway, that was one of the beliefs I had to change. So I had to change some beliefs, but most of my limiting beliefs kind of disappeared. It was just I just knew that I knew.
Mhm.
And I mean, I had never received anything intuitively before that I could call intuitive guidance,
Mhm.
but I
So this was
knew, and I
during
knew
your
that I knew.
meditations that you would ask the questions and get this sense of knowing?
Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever experienced that.
Mhm.
Well, I think we're all kind of programmed to believe that it's all outside ourselves and somebody else knows, but we don't.
Mm.
So so basically what we've done up to now until we've discovered this, and now that I've discovered it over the years, I have watched scientists all around the world discover the same things. So it's
Right.
pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. How many years ago was this, Bobbie, when you started on this journey?
When was it I started?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see. I think it was late 60s or early 70s.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I started on the journey, and I created this. I created, well, what actually happened, when he said, when he's, I was afraid he was going to let me out of his office when he said, "Do you have any idea how many houses you'd have to sell?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, I will tell you one thing. I've been doing this real estate for 5 years. I've worked really hard on it, and I haven't made anywhere near that much money yet." And I said, "Oh." Okay, well, I said, "I'll just do my best." I said, "We'll just see what happens." So he said, "Okay." And, and then what did happen is I met someone that was doing a townhouse development.
Wow.
Didn't know townhouses in Minneapolis where I lived at the time. This was like the first townhouse development. Well, what he was actually doing was a conversion. He had bought they were sort of cottages,
Mhm.
or they were apartments. They were rented as apartments, and he was changing them to townhouses. And so he said, I met him. I just, went out to look at what he had. He was a real estate agent, and and I saw the townhouses, and I said, "Have you ever thought about building new townhouses?" And he said, "Yeah, I have, because I actually just started a new project." And he told me about it. It wasn't what I had in mind. So I said, "Well, if you would you build?" I said, "I've got something in mind, and I'll sell these townhouses for you if you'll build this new development for me." So he said he was kind of impressed that I was so confident that I could sell his
Uh-huh.
townhouses. And he said, "Okay." And so the next week he called me. He had a call from a man in a suburb of Minneapolis, Bloomington. I don't know if anybody's near Minneapolis. It's near the airport. It was perfect for me. And he owned a nursery. And it was just exactly what I was thinking. He called me and he said he got this call, and this guy wanted to sell him this piece of land. He said, "You want to look at it? Sounds like what you had in mind." We went out and looked at it. It was perfect. We came back to his office and drew up plans for townhouse development. And
Wow.
I sold all, well, so first of all, I bought a townhouse in the conversion unit, and I sold most of those townhouses. Then we built the new development. I sold all of those townhouses with the greatest of ease. It's just amazing what's
Amazing.
possible for us. And I had no idea. And most people don't have any idea that's possible. But it is absolutely possible for any of us to create whatever we choose.
Yeah, it's amazing. In the book, I talk about these things like our mindset and our beliefs and how they can keep us closed and not going out there and showing up in our leadership, and the power of visualization and helping to, to really trick our mind into believing it's already there, and accepting it's already there. This is who I am. This is what I do. And the more you think like that and act like that, the more it comes to fruition.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It really is. We just have to learn how to get out of our own way.
Mm-hmm.
But we're programmed with all of these beliefs, and most of them are wrong. so, so
Right.
we have been programmed to believe so many things. We're by the time we're 7 years old, our minds have been programmed with all kinds of beliefs that actually run our lives unless we choose to change them.
Mm-hmm.
We really do have to change our beliefs,
Yeah.
and that is what blocks our ability to accept.
And so many of those beliefs really aren't even ours. We've inherited them, right, from our parents and their parents and their parents. And, I talk about in the book just all the social programming we receive, whether it's about gender or career or work, all these ideas that then, as you said, get implanted by the age of 7, and then often are functioning in our subconscious. We're not even aware what's driving us, and you really
Exactly.
have to, expose them to the surface so that you can choose again. And one of the phrases I learned from you, Bobbie, was beliefs are only ideas that we've decided are true, and we can choose, we can decide that's not true anymore. And simple things like, even just back to the cigarettes, let's say, just back to
Mhm.
smoking. It's healthy for you, it's not healthy for you. Right, we believed
Exactly.
it was healthy, it was good, it was fine. It's not. We can change those beliefs, and by changing those beliefs we can really change our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have all kinds of beliefs and we can change them. And but if we don't, they are going to run our lives. And
Mhm.
because I mean, we can have anything that we can accept, but we
Mhm.
don't, I mean, you'd sure
Mhm.
think that you could accept whatever you wanted, but we can't. we, we,
Right.
yeah, we keep telling ourselves that we can't have it and this can't possibly be and this can't happen, but it can. And it does. It's like there's a couple of things that block our ability, and one is all the stress in our lives. We have to be able to release that stress, and we have to change our beliefs. We have to, and I know you teach people how to do that, and
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
that's
and we
wonderful.
both do, right? In
Yes.
different ways, but it's really,
Yeah.
I just got off a training with a large consulting firm, and talking about burnout and healing from burnout. And just as you teach, Bobbie, talking about, healing that nervous system first, that's so beat up from all the stress and the abuse and the overworking and not sleeping and all of that. And how, so many programs, I think, frankly, have it wrong in that they start with the behavior. They try to change the behavior first. But it's like trying to put a band-aid on a gushing wound. It's that waking up on New Year's Day saying, I'm going to do this every day for the rest of my life. But
Mhm.
your mindset hasn't changed yet to support the behavior. So your mindset is still saying, let's use exercise as an example. I'm going to exercise every day for an hour. And your mindset's still going, oh, I hate exercise. It's awful. It's too hard. Right. And then you've got a beat up nervous system that doesn't want to do anything different and doesn't want to accept change. How long is that behavior going to last? You're going to go to the gym one time and go, enough
Exactly.
of this. Right.
Exactly. That's exactly what happens because we're disconnected. We're not really connected with ourselves. And when we really don't, we really have a hard time actually following through with what we what we choose say we want, but there's
Right.
a part of us that it's resisting.
Mhm.
And as long as we're resisting, I mean, I think you say very clearly in your book, what you resist, persist. And that's what we all experience. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. And that's where, as you're saying, that piece of acceptance comes in too, right? If you haven't shifted the belief, or if you've got some resistance there, you're what you want is over here, but there's this resistance blocking it. There's something you're not accepting, right? That resistance is getting in the way of accepting what you want for yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, and the belief is, first of all, we can't have anything more than what we believe we can have. And
Mhm.
it works in absolutely everything, relationships, anything that we want. But we have so much programming, and it's like, as you said, we get programming from our parents and our teachers, and in television and social media now, and
Yeah.
the problem is they nobody intentionally misled us. They didn't know. We just had not evolved to the point of people understanding this before, and
Mhm.
now we have. And of course, what happened in the past was scientists had theories, and they couldn't prove them, but because they couldn't prove them, that was the best we knew, and so we just went forward with the belief that they were right. Now
Mhm.
we know they were wrong. And so there's all these beliefs that we really have to change. I
Mhm.
mean, the most basic belief is that we're separate, that we're not connected to each other. Well, we're connected. That we now know that everything in existence is connected. Everyone and everything in existence is connected.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
and our whole way of life and our whole society is based on independent people. You're on your own. You've got to be competitive. You've got to be smarter, more accomplished than the next person. And it's that problem that we have between ourselves, rather than being able to cooperate and help each other. And that's what we have to learn to do, which is a whole different thing than what we've been taught to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's, in the chapters about lifting each other up and creating your tribe, it's about that, right? It's about finding those like-minded people who are going to support these goals and are not going to be the naysayers. And it's about realizing we're all connected, and that when one of us thrives, we all thrive more. And I think that connection is really a piece of the wise leadership, because when I think of wise leadership, I think, it's about knowing what your impact is, how your leadership impacts the people in front of you as far wide as it trickles, and then you make choices that don't pollute our environment or create toxic work environments and things like that, because you understand at a deeper level. I think you understand how powerful you are, right? How powerful you can be, and to be loving and kind with that power.
Exactly, exactly. Well, what we don't understand actually is love is the power source of the universe.
Mhm.
And it's like we are that, and we're all that, and we're one with all power. We have tremendous power, but we don't know that, and we have such a hard time accepting it.
Yeah.
It's when I first understood this, I could clearly see this. It was hilarious. It was so funny if it wasn't so sad. It's so
Yeah.
sad what we do to ourselves because we don't know, huh? But
Mhm.
it's extremely simple, huh? And when we know it, it looks, it's so simple that's one of the reasons we have such a hard time believing it. How could anything be simple, huh? That we've struggled for, and we've had a life of struggle and lack of fulfillment, and wanting things that we didn't know how to bring into our lives, and to
Mhm.
believe that we actually can is a huge shift.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is a huge shift.
And all of us, I think, have to be willing to experiment, you know.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love when you talk about experimenting, and I think that obviously I come from a scientific background, but I also, believe that I believe that science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, I know we're very aligned in that way. And I have to admit, I just lost my train of thought about that with science. Oh, experimenting. Yes. And that I think we need to treat life as more of an experiment, right? We need to try new things and kind of and open up our curiosity. Curiosity is a big area of study in positive psychology. And if we treated our life with more curiosity and less fear and could experiment, like, well, if I tried this, what happens? And if I try that, what happens? I think we'd also be more, more gentle and loving with ourselves in and have more fun, right? Have a more
Oh,
playful
absolutely. Yeah.
attitude, right?
Absolutely. It's so much fun to discover things that we didn't know before. And it's curiosity, I think, that leads us to start to experiment to begin with. And then of course there's questioning. I mean, we're taught to do certain things, and we know what we're supposed to do, and we try to do what we're supposed to do. And at some point, for many of us, what we're supposed to do doesn't exactly deliver what we what we really want. And
Yeah.
so we start saying why, huh? We start saying what what am I missing here, huh?
Mhm.
And if we can start questioning, huh, we can start moving into a whole different level of understanding, because we ask those questions within ourselves. And we're so programmed to believe that everything we need is outside us. We don't know that it's inside. And so
Right.
once once we
Right.
start to question, we start getting answers, and
Mhm.
and 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 life changes. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we see that with some of our most creative inventors and leaders. They just got an image or idea or a feeling about something that came to them and they acted on it. And that's how many of our modern technologies and things were creative out of somebody's idea and a willingness to experiment.
Exactly, exactly. We have these beliefs in limits, and the point is, everything is energy, and all you need is, if you run out of one thing, you just need an idea to create something new. We can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where all our technology comes from. We somebody sees a need,
Mhm.
and we start moving toward it.
Right. And they stay open minded enough to to create something new, right? To imagine something that was never imagined before, right? That's how we invent.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Bobbie, did you have a favorite part of the book? I'm just curious
Favorite part of
of unleashing the wise leader in you.
it was all so good. I mean, you did such a fantastic job. I don't know. I just said I don't know that I had a favorite part, because but what you did is you brought out in that book so many things that most of us experience. And I think particularly as women,
Mhm.
women, we get programmed that we're not quite good enough, or we're not. I I remember when I was growing up, I'm an only child and I was with adults a lot. But I remember I heard very often is little girls are to be seen and not heard. And
Mhm.
of course, that plants an idea in your mind. And you brought that out that we're programmed to believe these things, and we follow through unconsciously. We don't know that we are. You brought out so many things that are so helpful. I mean, I just think that you've just done such a wonderful job with your book and with the works that you're doing. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, that just means so much to me, as I have learned so much from you and from Dean, and I'm so grateful for knowing you and the changes you've brought to my life. And as someone who's also an author and I've read your books, I'm absolutely flattered that you've enjoyed mine. I'm going to put a link in the comment section for everyone, with a link to Bobbie's website for Unlimited Futures, and she is now an author of, is it 4 books now, Bobbie?
I actually three published books. Yeah.
Okay, okay. She's always writing.
Yes, it's all in writing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and yeah, so I'll put links to Bobbie's information as well as my own book, and also, I have written a children's book, which takes Bobbie's book, Unlimited Futures, and the principles we've been talking about, into language that kids can understand, so that you can teach these principles to young children.
I was so amazed when you wrote that book. You did such a great job to explain very complex things in a way that children could understand it. I thought, I don't know how she's going to do that, but you did.
Yes, yes, and it was on one of our retreats together. It just really poured out of me, and Brittany Drulard did the illustrations, which are just absolutely gorgeous. They're so vibrant, and Bobbie is kind of featured as a character in the book along with my children. So it was fun to write, and if you're looking for something for your kiddos to help them grasp all of this at a young age, you can pick that up too on Amazon.
I think that is very timely now because we really are in a point in in the world that
Mhm.
we're going through the biggest transformation the world's ever seen. And so things are changing. There's shifts going, things are changing. And as we learn more, we also want to teach our children. And I that have that available for children, I think is just wonderful.
Thank you.
It's yeah,
Yeah, it's a team effort. A team effort. It wouldn't exist without your work. So, and I
yeah.
agree. We're at a tipping point in the world, and it's time for women to claim their leadership, and it's time for all of us, men, women, binary, whatever you identify with. It is time for all of us to really tap into our wise leaders, and spread wisdom and love in the world, and make our world a better place.
Exactly. What we need now is wise leaders, and it's there's a lot of leaders that aren't wise, and so we
Yeah.
we need wise leaders because we're moving into whole new territory, and it's going to be really exciting to see what's possible for us.
I agree. I agree. Thank you so much, Bobbie, for being here today and for sharing your wisdom with us and your time. I am very, very grateful.
Oh, well, thank you. I want to just tell your listeners too, they're your viewers, your
Yeah.
audience, that my latest book is called Unlimited, How Ordinary People Accomplish Extraordinary Things. And it's about how a number of people that have worked with the program have accomplished the things that they wanted in their life. And I'm excited about it. And I want to just give everybody a copy if you'd like be interested in
Wow.
reading
What
it.
a generous gift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go to my website and pick up a free copy.
Amazing.
We have free digital copy. You can get a Kindle copy or a PDF.
Okay.
So
A
that
Kindle
yeah,
copy or a PDF, and I'll
that
make sure
I
to.
appreciate being able to share that with your audience, because I think that'll be good.
Yeah, I think they'll
Yes.
love it. It's a great read. It's
Okay.
fascinating. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you,
For sure.
everyone, and have a great day. And thank you, Bobbie. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna, and thanks so much to everybody that joined us. Thank you so much. Okay.